Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the M36 Jackson. It's a Tier 6 American turreted tank destroyer. It's located on the north spawn of Mountain Pass, and this one is under the command of ProvoBob. And this video features two replays by ProvoBob in different vehicles, starting with the Jackson. Well, this tank is kind of unusual because it's a bit of a cross between an M10 and, well, an Hellcat, because it's got a 90mm gun, but it was actually designed to have the 90mm from the start because obviously the M10s were having problems penetrating German armour. So the M10s actually met the first German armour in Kasserine Pass in North Africa, and they didn't fare too well. They got kind of run over by the Germans actually at Kasserine Pass, and they needed a bigger gun, and a 90mm gun was felt to be better. So they basically took the M10 hull and then married it with a 90mm turret. Now the gun, which is the AT-M3, is capable of doing 240 alpha, penetrating 160mm with standard ammo, and with premium ammo it goes through 243mm. I can see ProvoBob's actually loaded the premium ammo right from the start because he doesn't know what sort of tank's actually going to come around the corner down at the far end. It could be a KV2, could be a Churchill 7, in fact, yep, there's the KV2. The T-34 just found him. So he's hoping that he will be able to get good penetrations. The other tank that could be here is the AT-8, and he gets his first shot into the KV-1. If he gets the AT-8, then that's a very heavily armoured British tank destroyer. It could be very difficult to pen him, so that's another reason to have the premium ammo. Although Bob does like to fire premium ammo. They manufactured 2,324 M36s during the war, between November 1943 and September 1945. There was some thought that they could actually fit a 105mm gun onto the M10, but it couldn't fit it, unfortunately. But he's now managed to make that Churchill 7 back away because he's taken so many hits. He's now one shot. In fact, an HE round would finish him off, and there he goes. He's just gone by the Achilles, who's down by the bridge. Now he's running low on premium ammo, so he will have to switch to standard ammo soon. And it might be expensive for him to play the all of these premium rounds. If you notice on the minimap, we're kind of exposed on the west flank at the moment. There's only a T-34-85 down there, but that's mostly because most of the enemy tanks are around this way, and he finishes off the KV-1 with one shot. That's his first kill. Now this is a tank destroyer, not a medium tank. It's part of the tank destroyer branch, so its primary function was actually to knock out enemy armour and to destroy bunkers and that sort of thing. That's what the tank destroyers were tasked with, whereas the tanks, their primary job was to support the infantry and to destroy gun emplacements, bunkers, just about anything they came across really. Most of the tanks spent most of the war destroying trucks and artillery pieces, not other tanks. In fact, it was normally rare for tanks to actually have a tank-on-tank engagement. It was quite normal for tanks to actually come across an enemy tank and then call up the tank destroyers to kill it. In fact, in some cases, they did actually have tank destroyers which were in each battalion, so there was a group or a troop of tank destroyers going alongside the armour, or with the armour, but not many. Normally it was the tank destroyers were on their own groups, and they would fill in the spots where the enemy tanks were detected by the reconnaissance vehicles. Now originally it was known as the Jackson or the Slugger because of that 90mm round. quite a hefty punch. Okay, now the enemy has come up against our T-34-85M on the Western Pass, and although he's a tier 6 and they're, well, I think there's tier 5s down there is that 88 down there, and that's the problem because he's tier 6 as well. And I think, yes, ProvoBob's just recognised that he has got a serious problem down there, and they got rid of the Schmelten, but the 88 is still down there. There he is. Now he is going to be a problem for the T-34-85. They're both the same tier, but the 88 does have very good armour. Oh, good hit. Solid hit, high roll, but we lost the T-34-85, which now means that the enemy is free to come up that channel. And since we've got nobody down there to spot for us, they're going to go missing. Yes, there you go. They've unspotted now. And that's going to be a problem for ProvoBob because he's not going to see them until they're really close and just coming around the corner. He's got 2,000 hit points of damage because he has done a lot. And they've helped the enemy on the ice road. But, yeah, the enemy is coming in this direction. And we're one tank down on the enemy at the moment. He really needs to change position and get into a position so he can see the enemy when they appear. Ideally, he needs to come down from these heights because at this moment, being up here, he's going to be at a disadvantage with gun depression. Although he does have 10 degrees of gun depression, he's going to be shooting down on enemy tanks that are actually going below his gun depression line. So, yeah, this could be a problem. He's got company now. Stug 3 Aslains has turned up alongside him. I didn't mention right from the start, but it is a tier 6 game with tier 5 tanks in it. Our guys on the ice road are having some success. They're pushing the enemy back. But that could all change very quickly because after all they do have a KV-2 and he could deal severe damage. And here comes that 88, and yeah, you can see the gun depression problem I mentioned. The problem is that they're almost below his gun depression. The 88 decided to stop and he's very low on hit points, but you're aiming for the wrong spot. Aim for that little cupola. Oh, well, the Stug got him instead. Looks like the Stug hit the cupola instead. Now there's still one enemy out there, T-67, but we've pushed through on the ice road and now we're approaching the enemy cap area. They do have a Nashorn, but we don't know where he is at the moment. All we do know is that the Nashorn was last seen just the other side of the bowl. Enemy KV-2 is making for his own cap to try and defend it. And ProvoBob's decided he's going to try and go down the west route, I think, west channel, either that or cut straight across the bowl. Now, one of the good things about this tank destroyer is it does have good damage, that 240 alpha, and accuracy as well, as you saw during the shooting. It also has more ammunition than the Hellcat, or supposedly it does. Of course, you know the Hellcat didn't actually have a 90mm gun during the war. It only had the 76mm gun. The 90mm gun in the game is a fiction. Oh, there's the Nashorn. He came up the bridge road. Looks like we lost the KV-1 to the Nashorn, and now he's trying to sneak in by the back door. Okay, ProvoBob needs to get to that rock so he can cover that corner. But ideally, he just needs to go round the corner and finish the Nashorn off. The Nashorn's got very light armour. And although the armour on the M10 is not particularly, well, the M36 is not particularly strong. There you go. Oh! Missed the chance. But he is a one-shot. He only needs one shot from that 90mm gun and the Nashorn is dead. He could have an 88mm gun, but I think he's facing the wrong way. Hello! Yep. He went after the Stug. Did get some hit points off the Stug. but he left his rear to us, and that was an easy kill there for ProvoBob. And that means now there's, oh my god, the enemy has clawed one back because they KV2 just derped the Valiant on our team, and now it's 2 versus 2. And we've actually got less hit points than the enemy. In fact, ProvoBob's got virtually all of the hit points of his team, because he's got 660, and the Stug 3 Aslains G has only got 34 hit points in total. Would you believe that? 34. Whilst the enemy's got 1,173. He's being very cautious about moving up. Stug's come with us. He's decided to just push forward. The reload time standard is 7.67 seconds. He's got 6.79. You're blocking the Stug at the moment. Yeah, the Stug had to go round you to get to the corner there. Ideally, what you want to do is leave your teammate to go free and clear, and let, as Klaus says, let Mikey go. You know, let Mikey go around the corner first, find out where the enemy is, and then you pop around the corner after they fired and shoot them. I kind of get the feeling that the enemy KV2 might actually be on his way up the ice road towards our guys, or towards our cap. But the T67, I wouldn't be surprised to see him here. Yes, he is here. And unfortunately, he's just too slow to get the shots on, but now he can, and it's one shot to kill. The KV2 didn't go up the ice road, but he did kill our Stug, and that means for the next 15 seconds or so, because it's 20 seconds to reload. Okay, just go! Go! He's reloading! You're wasting time! Bob, push! Get round the corner quickly, whilst he's still waiting to load his shell. Oh, Bob, you let him reload. Now he gets a shot on you, and you finish him off before he can fire. Always remember, the KV2's got a long reload. Here's the end of battle results, and that was the second class tanker for ProvoBob in the M36 Jackson. He got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits, he got 6. He got a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills, he got 4 exactly. And he got a 5 for effect for doing more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle. At the very last moment, he got a high caliber, and that's because he got at least 20% of the enemy hit pool and the highest damage in the game. I think he only got it because he killed the KV2 right at the very end, because he didn't have 20% right up to that point. But if we look at the team score, we can see that, yes, he did have the highest damage in the game, 2,516. The next highest damage was the M18 Hellcat with 1,521. And the third highest damage was the KV2. Even if the KV2 had killed ProvoBob, he still only would have ended up with 1,900 hit points in total. And he wouldn't have been able to get 20%, so he wouldn't have got the high caliber. And I think ProvoBob, well, he'd already would have beaten that with his score, because he didn't get very much in the way of hit points off the KV2, but it was just enough to get the 20%. When it came to kills, he didn't get the highest because the KV2 killed 6. He got a top gun in that game. 4 kills went to ProvoBob, 3 kills went to the KV85. And when it came to base XP, he got the top in that one. 895 base experience points. 725 went to the Churchill 1, 715 went to the M18 Hellcat. He fired 18 rounds, got 16 direct hits and 12 penetrations on the enemy. 2,516 hit points, of which 1,544 were at more than 300 meters, so you can see most of the damage was done at long range. He did receive 1 hit by way of splash damage, 7 enemy vehicles were damaged, 4 were killed, and he earned 23,417 credits from the game, but he did fire an awful lot of premium ammo, and he ended up with a loss of 23,349 credits. 895 XP times 2 for the first victory took away 2,686 experience points altogether. So I guess that the mistake that was made was right at the very end. In fact, there was 2 mistakes. The first mistake was actually by the KV2 driver. He pushed round the corner just as the T67 was looking over the top down at ProvoBob. And instead of selecting ProvoBob as his target, he selected the Stug. And the reason for that was that ProvoBob was right up against the edge of the slope, whereas the Stug was more out in the centre, and he saw the Stug as the first target, plus of course he saw that the Stug was low on hit points. And I think that was the big mistake, because if he'd actually fired at that moment at ProvoBob, he could have taken ProvoBob out with one shot, and then all he would have had to have dealt with was the Stug, and he probably could have rammed the Stug to death. But by firing at the Stug, he killed the Stug, so he got another kill, he got his top gun, but as a drawback, he actually left ProvoBob alive, and ProvoBob was easily able to get a kill on him. The other mistake was ProvoBob. He actually forgot that the KV-2 has a very long reload, 20 seconds or so, and that means that the moment he's fired, he's vulnerable, and you can just drive around the corner and there's not a lot he can do. He's also got a very slowly traversing turret, so if you can get behind him, he's got to turn his turret all the way around to match you, and as he's doing that, he's exposing the weak side of the turret to give you an easy shot right into the side of him and kill him. So yeah, things to remember there, ProvoBob. Best not to shoot at the front of a KV-2 as he's coming around the corner. Best to shoot at the side of him. If he fires and misses, or if he fires and even if he hits you, drive around the corner quickly and shoot around right into his side. So that's the end of the first game. Let's have a look at the second one. The second replay is in the Matilda 4, the Tier 5 Russian Premium Medium, and we're on the south spawn of Overlord. Game started. Well, this is a very underestimated tank actually, the Matilda 4, the Soviet Matilda, mainly because it's Tier 5, but it comes up against some quite quick opponents. It's also armed with a 76.2mm CIS-5 gun, which is the same gun you'll find on most of the KV-1s and quite a lot of other tanks as well. The Soviets actually only armed one Matilda that they actually received from the British with the 76.2mm. They tried it out. They actually took the front of a KV-1 off and they welded it to the front of this tank. So that's why the mantlet looks kind of different to the mantlet you find on the British Matildas. Now, the British built 2,987 Matildas during the war, though most of them were armed with either the 2-pounder or a 3-inch howitzer as their main armament. And in fact, the Soviets were sent 1,084 of those Matildas, so quite a sizable chunk of the Matilda production, about 1/3 of them, was sent over to the Soviet Union, but only 918 of them actually made their way to the Soviet Union, or rather arrived in the Soviet Union, because the ships that were sending them, the Arctic convoy, were sunk. Now, as I said, it's 76.2, it's capable of 110 alpha, and with these standard rounds, it'll go through 86mm of armour, and with the premium ammo, it will go through, oh, if I get that right, get it to appear, yep, it'll appear for 102mm. So he's got one kill so far, taking out the M5A1 Stuart. Now he's having a go at the looks. Now, the Soviets weren't really very impressed with the Matilda 4 because they thought it was a bit slow. It was hampered by the fact that the snow would actually build up underneath the tracks, so it would jam the tracks up, and that just made it all the worse because it was so slow. But the Soviets were very pleased to have them because these tanks started arriving during 1941, December of 1941, and the moment they arrived in the Soviet Union, they were sent over to Moscow, where they actually took part in the Battle of Moscow, defending the capital. In fact, they were essential to the Battle of Moscow because the Soviets had lost so many of their tanks after Barbarossa started that they were desperate for any tanks they could get their hands on, and the Matildas were very heavily armoured, and that was one of the things the Soviets liked, the fact that they were so heavily armoured. They disliked the fact that they were so slow because they were as slow as the KV-1. He's getting nice hits on that Churchill, but he's firing HE at him bit by bit. Chipping away at him bit by bit. Well, the Soviets were quite happy to have the Matilda with the 3-inch howitzer because they could knock down bunkers with the 3-inch, even though it wasn't that great for killing tanks. By the time they started getting the 3-inch gun on their Matildas, they had plenty of T-34s and KV-1s to actually fight the German tanks. So they just needed a tank which had a howitzer on it to knock down German emplacements. So despite the fact that this is because it's a premium vehicle, it's got the ZIS-5, which, as I said, is the same gun you'll actually find on the KV-1. It's not a very good gun. It's not like the 2-pounder in terms of it pecks away at the enemy. It's got a decent alpha, and the fire rate is very good actually. Its GPM is one of its best points. So it can, at this tier, it can actually do quite a lot of damage. Plus, of course, this tank is a preferential matchmaking tank. And what's so great about that is it will never see tier 7. Even though it's tier 5, it'll only ever see a tier 6 game. It won't see a tier 7. And that means it's not overmatched because it can hold its own against tier 6 opponents. Now, this is a tier 5 game, and there are bots in the game. You may not have noticed that, but if you look at the names of some of the players, they've got semicolons in front of them and behind them, indicating they are bots. It's a bit of a pity actually, because it's a premium tank, you only get the one gun. It'd be nice actually if they actually put this tank into the game with the 3-inch howitzer, or the option to have the 3-inch howitzer. And there goes the Churchill. You notice how once he actually got behind the guy and started punching the APCR rounds into him, no problem killing him at all. And there's only one enemy left, it's the Lux, and he switched to the AP because, yeah, you won't need to use premium ammo on a Lux. He's lost his driver, but he can put that guy back in, and he has. Oh, unfortunately, oh dear, that shouldn't have happened. The Lux just killed the Panzer IV Ausrung H that was just in front of us. It's a reduced numbers name. There's 2 less players on either team, but the Lux is still over there in the corner, and we're capping at the moment. So if ProvoBob's going to get his 3rd kill, he needs to get a move on. He's just behind this house. Or is he in the bushes? No, he's in the bushes. Ow, he's hit us with a cannon. Okay, go for it, Bob. Take him out. Yes! Nice. And he got a Nathan's medal. Here's the end of battle results, and that was the first ace tanker for ProvoBob in the Matilda 4. He managed to get a fire for effect and a bruiser medal from the minor medals, but the best one of all is he got the Nathans, which meant he killed all the enemy light tanks in that game. At least 3 in the game, and in fact every tank he killed was a light tank. He killed 2 M5A1 Stuarts and 1 Lux. Let's have a look at the win rates. That was 4,429, which is quite reasonable for a bot game. Let's have a look at team score. Well, he didn't get the highest damage in the game. That went to the Panzer IV Ausrung H, who died right in front of him. That was a real player, but yeah, he did get taken out by the Lux. It wasn't anything to do with ProvoBob that he died. I think the enemy might have been aiming for both of them actually at the same time. And, well, he killed the Panzer IV instead of Bob. 1,307 hit points went to the T28, and 1,201 went to ProvoBob. When it came to kills, he shared the top spot with the Panzer IV and the M41 HMC. All 3 of them got 3 kills each. They could have platooned and they would have got a brothers in arms, each of them, but I suppose, well, they didn't think about doing that at the time. But when it came to base XP, it's ProvoBob. He's right at the top with that one. 1,071 base experience points. 922 went to the Panzer IV Ausrung H, and 564 went to the T28. He fired 31 rounds in that game, 26 direct hits and 11 penetrations, 5 splash. Damage of 1,201 hit points, all of it at close range. Received 16 hits from the enemy, only 6 of which penetrated, 10 non-penetrations. I suppose that backs up what we were saying about the fact that this tank does have really good and solid armour. And for tier 5 that's quite good, which means that the enemy, unless they hit the weak spot, they're actually going to have difficulty. And if, especially in a tier 5 game, you can actually troll the enemies. Although you can't side scrape in this tank, unfortunately, because it's not really built for it. 380 hit points of damage blocked by armour, 4 enemy vehicles damaged, 3 killed and 461 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 45,696 credits in this game, but unfortunately yet again ProvoBob spamming the gold, and he actually lost 3,303 credits from the game overall. Well, it's a small loss compared to the other ones. 1,606 XP, 643 for this being a premium vehicle, and 2,249 experience points altogether. The Matilda 4 is kind of, well, it's an overlooked premium at tier 5, but the thing is that it is actually very capable. It's a bit slow, and that's what puts people off. But the great thing about it is that the crew configuration is exactly the same as the tier 7 and upwards Soviet mediums. So if you want a crew trainer for your crew, this is the ideal one to get, because it means that you can battle at tier 5, have a lot of fun, get very high stats because you do a lot of damage, especially the fact that this tank has a gun depression of 14 degrees, which means it's a ridgeline monster against the enemy. But it means you can train up really good Soviet medium tank crews. And then when you get to tier 7 and onwards, and you've got these really classy Soviet tanks, you've got the ideal crew to fit straight into them. So I hope you like both of those replays. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below, because it feeds the algorithm.
My baby, you know she's not hurting you. She's just blowing.
And do share our channel with other people, please, because not a lot of people know that What Arty Noobs exists, which is a shame, because it's not just What Arty Noobs. We've also got a sister channel called The General, where we put the very top flight tank replays. In fact, not just tank replays, actually. There are some Arty replays going on that channel as well. But yes, if you want to see a replay without any commentary, that's where you'll find it. And as I said, they're really top games you'll see on that one. So, thank you very much for watching.